Millionaire goes homeless just to prove anyone can make $1 million. This one's gonna be crazy because, ooh, man, we'll see what happens here. I have a strong opinion on this one, but let's see what happens.
Today's been really tough. This is my bench right here. Gonna be sleeping on tonight, so.
This is Mike Black.
Okay, so let me just give you all the context real quick. This guy, I think, is a YouTuber, and he made a challenge in which he wanted to get all of his things away, put all the things away that he owns, like he has assets, money, throw everything away. And for 365 days, he wanted to go homeless just to prove that anybody that can start from nothing, with zero connections, zero money, and with hard work, they can make $1 million in 1 year. I should put it that way. And the first flaw of the challenge already is the fact that if anything goes to shit and he actually goes through some bullshit in his life, he can just stop the challenge and go back to his warm, beautiful millionaire lifestyle. So the people who he's simulating a world that if everything goes to shit, he can always go back to his normal life. And a lot of broke people, they do not have the chance and the ability to do that. So this is already a major flaw, because you cannot simulate a situation. If something happens to you, you can go back to your normal life. So that thing in itself already kills the challenge in itself, in my opinion. But okay, let's continue. He wants to do the challenge. He wants to prove. Let's go ahead and see it.
Millionaire who went homeless with the goal to make $1 million from nothing in only 12 months, while documenting the entire journey online for everyone to see.
I'm cutting off my entire.
And okay, again, let's clarify. I'm sorry. What is nothing? Nothing as if he has a phone, so he's not starting from nothing, because you might be saying, but everybody has a phone. Not everybody has a phone. Some people have a phone, most people have a phone, but not everybody has a phone. First off. Second, he has knowledge. He already is an entrepreneur. He already knows how to make money with some things here and there, because he has years of knowledge. He's an entrepreneur for years, so he's definitely not starting from zero. Even if he's starting from zero, it's not that much of a zero. You're not going to be able to simulate somebody who actually is starting from 0.0000 actually. So again, the second flaw here.
Higher network. I'm draining my bank account to $0. I'm leaving behind my 7-figure business, putting all my belongings in storage, and I won't even have a place to live.
This is the $1 million comeback.
Did you know the project is going to be like this?
No, everything was a curveball. This is my one pair of clothes that I'm taking with me. I have a cell phone and I have a backpack with camera gear. The keys are officially turned in. The project has started. Now I gotta figure out what the f to do.
What Mike didn't know at the time was that this was going to be the toughest year of his life. But why did he decide to do it?
I'm gonna try to panhandle and make a couple bucks.
Because humans, they want to, they are so egotistical and they have so much truth because they think they know everything, that they're willing to do all this crazy shit just to prove their biased truth or whatever. And in the end, the funniest thing about the challenge is that he failed the fucking challenge. He literally proved himself wrong. He proved himself that he was wrong. Not anybody can do this. For sure, everybody that works hard enough can make $1 million supposedly, but it's not as simple as it is. There's so many variables. There's timing. There's connections. There's, hard work mixed with opportunities, like being the right person at the right time. And I always say about that, it's not just working hard alone. It's not just, you just got to want it bad enough. I don't want to start yapping too much, but back in the days, I used to hear a lot of motivational videos, and I have nothing against it. I think it's cool, amazing. But a lot of the motivational videos that they used to hear would just say, oh my God, you just got to keep going. You just got to keep going. Just got to work hard. Wake up in the morning, take a cold shower, or all this kind of BS, right? In which it's not like doing this shit is going to do anything in your life. It won't. Oh, you're not waking up early. You're waking up late. As if waking up at 5 in the morning is going to make you a better person. It won't. This is just a freaking... how am I going to say it? 2 in the morning, waking up at 2 in the morning is going to make you a more wealthy person. It won't, buddy. Not automatically, at least. If you're not doing something with your 24 hours that you have in your life that's going to give you leverage, when whatever the heck it may be, you won't. You're just going to be a person who's trying to change their lives, who's waking up at 2 in the morning. For example, you know what I'm saying? So like all of these BS talk and all this, brainwashing shit of people trying to convince you that if you're not successful, you're not where you want to be, is because you're not giving your best. And a lot of people didn't even have the chance to give their best because they're stuck in a life in which they cannot get out of it, because if they try to get out of it, they're going to die. So like there's so many things, and humans, they just cannot accept the fact that a lot of things are chaos, a lot of things, there's a lot of privilege. For example, if you're born in the U.S., you are already privileged, even if you're going through financial struggles, because pretty much anybody who is supposedly in an underdeveloped country has already less privilege than you, unless they come from rich families, for example. Because the reality is, some people are born within better condition than others. If you're born in Ethiopia, for example, if you don't have access to nothing, like how do you think a person like that, they're gonna think about making $1 million? And you might say, oh, but I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy that made $1 million from there. Like, okay, it's the exception to the rule, baby, not the rule. You cannot use the exception to defy the rule. The rule is usually not how it works, baby.
Not worried about food at all. I can go a couple days without eating. Hey, how are you?
I'm sorry for yapping, guys, but like I said, this was gonna be a tough one for me because when I was young, I thought I knew everything. I thought that I had all the answers to the fucking world, and everybody was weak, and I was the only one that knew everything, and nobody knew shit. And as I grew, I literally had to grow. I literally had to go through so much shit in my life to start realizing that life is much more complicated than we want it to be. Not everything goes the way we want it to go. Not everything works out for us. Not everything is under our control, no matter how hard we work, no matter how hard we push towards. A lot of people, they work really hard, but for the wrong thing. And when they find out that it's the wrong thing, it's kind of too late. There's so many things that are outside of our control. There's so many things that happens, and it wasn't until I actually had to grow that I realized that it's not on me to judge anybody, Just to finish it, and I'm going to continue the video. I remember once when I was in London, and then I saw a woman. She was walking down the street, and then there was like a guy on the floor begging for money, begging for food, like spare change, because he wanted water, like he wanted food. He was dying, and then I was close to her, and she walked close to him, and then she walked past him, and she ignored him, and she sighed like, and she said, "I hate weak men. This guy should just get a job." And then she sighed really bad, and then she just laughed off. And she didn't even look at the guy. She didn't even ask anything. She didn't even try to talk. She just assumed that he was weak without knowing his name or what the hell happened to his life for him to end up like that. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't even notice or realize her lack of empathy towards other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was a big red flag for me. I was like, damn, bro. And she actually walks off like she's like super, super strong, And that made me really think, like, damn, bro, humans are fucked up. Not all of us. There's a lot of good people out there too. But I was like, dude, she doesn't even know how much of ignorant she's being, And a lot of people may not agree with me, but like I learned in life that I just do not judge anybody, because like we do not know the shit that happens with us until we go through the shit that happens with us. You know what I'm saying? More or less what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? More or less. Oh my God, I'm stuttering. But that's more or less what I'm trying to say.
Wondering, do you have any like water cups by any?
Damn, I'm yapping a lot, but the reason why I'm yapping is because this shit right here proves so much of the bullshit thing that's on social media that's toxic, like just toxicity on social media. That, oh my God, a lot of pressure put on in people, a lot of things that are outside of our control, a lot of things that a lot of people that are giving their absolute best, but they go on social media and they think they're not doing good enough because, some random person on fucking Instagram is telling you that you're not working really hard or some shit like that, and all that shit gets to you. And then next thing you know, you feel like a failure but you're trying your absolute best with what you have. You know what I'm saying? So like, it makes me go crazy, bro. But let me get quiet, bro. I'm starting to talk too much.
Chance. Finally, someone nice enough to give me some water.
See, it was the beginning of 2020 and countless people had lost everything. And he wanted to be a living example that you can make a comeback even at your lowest point. But could he really reach $1 million in 12 months again?
Which is right, but not everybody's gonna make that comeback, baby. Not everybody's gonna do it. That's how life works, buddy.
Everything I tried didn't work. I did have someone message me on Craigslist that said they'll give me $100 if I let them. I started thinking like, I'm gonna be sleeping on the streets a lot longer than I thought. I don't know if I can do this. All right, so it's 11 o'clock. Didn't make any money. My bench right here that I'm gonna be sleeping on tonight, so.
But there was no going back now. He had publicly committed all over social media, hired an entire...
There is going back. I've already said that. There is going back. If he was really living in that situation, then there was no going back, which is pretty much the whole entire world. They do not have the chance to go back if something goes to shit. The raw reality of life is that they do not have control. And that's the shit that gets to me, like the lack of common sense. And I learn, or at least I'm learning to have common sense, because the world is not fair. And some people, they're going to work their ass off and they're not going to get anywhere. Some people are going to work really hard and they're going to get somewhere. But it's just like, it's too many things happening at once that are outside of our control. And ultimately, you're not a failure if you don't have $1 million, for example. You're not a failure if you don't make $1 million in 1 year or whatever. Like all this fucking bullshit that you see on the internet.
Entire production team, and this was about something bigger than just himself.
The goal of the project was to help as many people as possible.
So giving up was never an option, but things took a turn.
Giving up is an option for him.
Something amazing happened out of nowhere. Like this kid hit me up and said like, hey man, you can crash here. Offered to drive 30 minutes to pick me up. I'm just really emotional how nice of an act this was. I promise you I will repay you for all of this.
Okay, thank you. I mean, you don't have to, but...
Just thank you so much.
Of course.
This is the RV that I slept in last night.
Now this was a short window of opportunity to get back on his feet.
I still have one pair of clothes. Look how gross this is. Now I get to put these boxers back on.
So he had to make some money, but this time he had a plan.
What I started doing is just taking ads on Craigslist in the free section, putting it on Facebook Marketplace, and selling it for a profit. I acted as the middleman, handling all the logistics between the buyer and the seller.
And it worked.
I just sold my first couch for $100.
Although this was literally only 0.01% towards the final goal,
And he knew what to do from day one. He was not somebody who doesn't know anything at all. He already knows something. Even if it's the smallest thing, he already knows something, which is not the case with most people. They don't even know what to do because they're too tired working 2-3 jobs. And when they have time to think, they're so tired that they don't want to fucking think. All they want to do is just go home and die and get ready for the next day because they got to survive. Because it's not that simple. Life is much more complicated than that.
He was finally able to buy some clothes, some decent food after not eating for days, and most importantly, deodorant.
It's all right.
On day 3, he made a whopping $250 flipping more couches.
Hey Mike, what do you got there? That's a nice computer. Yeah, that's just a brand new used Chromebook. I'm gonna take that.
Oh, it's just not working.
But Mike had to figure out how to get his own place, because Isaac, the guy who helped him on day 1 and now lived with in the RV, still had no idea about the project and who Mike really was, because he was going undercover as Scott, so he wouldn't get any extra help. If Isaac found out, Mike would have to cut off contact, which is one of the many rules he set up for the project, and then he'd be back on the streets again. So he had to get more Benjamins into his bank account.
I applied to 10 different jobs in one night, and the next day I woke up and I had 3 interviews.
So he spent the last $40 he had to join a co-working space where he could use much better computers and start trading time for money, even if that means working as a telemarketer for only $10 an hour.
$25 an hour working for a law firm as a virtual assistant. So I went over to Isaac and I was like, hey, would you be cool with lending me your car and I'll do food delivery. I'll give you the majority of everything I make.
Best delivery driver ever.
You heard it.
Dude, I could flip this bike, by the way. It sells for like $300, $400.
Flip king.
Just left the thrift store, got all these shirts. You looking for a sugar daddy, hit me up. 220 bucks.
But still, with all this work, he was barely getting by.
For the first time, my bank actually overdrew. I was not.
And besides that, now he has less time because he's trading all this time for money to make more money to live somewhat better life. He has less and less time to focus on the business.
Not expecting this to take this long for me to get out of this
That's the shit you ought to understand, bro.
situation.
Until things got...
It's not just you gotta want it bad enough. Sometimes you're stuck in a situation in which you just cannot get out of it. You just can't. Like, bro, I am privileged. And it took me the longest time to accept it because I feel like accepting some things in our lives supposedly makes us feel worse or whatever. But the reality is, if you had access to internet, if you had access to, knowledge to some things, to a phone, because not everybody can afford a phone. Not everybody can have a setup, a computer, and this and that. And I'm talking that in a first world country. Imagine a third world country. Because I am Brazilian. I am from here. I know things here. I know a lot of people here from the slums, from the favelas. They don't have access to shit. A lot of people don't even know how to read and write. How are they going to even think about doing anything? You know what I'm saying? It is a tough situation, dog. It is very tough.
Even worse.
We didn't put this in the footage, but the RV had gotten a cockroach infestation. It was really bad. Imagine trying to sleep in a place where there's cockroaches everywhere. You imagine them crawling on you. Well, one night, I looked at my arm, there's a cockroach, just swiped it off, and I sat up, I'm done.
Like, for example, think of me. I bought my whole entire setup with my money, right? I worked really hard, and I bought my microphone, I bought the phone, I bought the camera, I bought the laptop, I bought this, I bought that. I had time to think on a strategy to start my YouTube channel, for example. Let's say just as an example. And even though I worked really hard to get this shit because nobody handed me nothing, I still know for a fact that I was placed in an environment that allowed me to work hard enough so that I could make enough money to put my opportunity and then work hard with my opportunity that I had. And then when they mixed together, now I have what I have. For example, it's just an example, you know what I'm saying? And that gave me time and structure so that I could somehow do a video for y'all and hopefully try to get a few thousand views with the video, for example, right? And now I have somewhat of a chance. And just by me being in this situation, I'm already being privileged. Because a lot of people, they don't even know about what is internet, what's let alone a PC, let alone doing a video, let alone doing this, let alone doing that, because they're stuck working, countless amount of hours, or I don't even endless amount of hours, and they don't even have time to think. And when they do have time to think, they're tired, like I said. So there's privilege to everything. Everybody that succeeded in life, to some extent, had somewhat of luck. Doesn't matter if it's through YouTube, doesn't matter if it's through a business, doesn't matter if it's through something. Sure, they might have worked really hard, but there is somewhat a littlest bit of structure, littlest bit of something, littlest bit of luck, littlest bit of being the right person at the right time for the right amount of time. And then they took advantage of the opportunity, and then they worked with it, and then things aligned. But not everybody can afford to have that. Not everybody. And that's the point. And that's why at the end of this video, he's going to literally prove otherwise. He's literally going to prove that not anybody can make $1 million, and especially in 12 months, especially starting from nothing. This is pure BS. It's pure BS. And that's the funny thing about it. And I think, honestly, the guy that did this challenge, he probably knows that, but he needs the engagement, because we need to talk. We need this, we need that. We need people talking about it. We need drama. We need this, we need that, because this generates views, which generates money. But at the end of the day, I feel like you either know it or you're just lying to yourself and being delusional, because reality is much more cruel than what we want it to be. And I think it's just really hard for us to accept it, the raw reality of the world. But enough of me yapping, because now I'm going a little bit over the board.
Will not live here another week.
He just had to get one client for some service that would pay him a few grand.
I literally just spent all weekend. I sent so many sales proposals.
Until he finally got someone to pay him for monthly marketing services.
$1,500. Dopamine's just blasting through my head. I have money now.
So he was able to move out of the RV into a small shared room. And to come full circle, now he could finally repay Isaac by helping him sell the RV for $2,000 more than he expected.
I bought a MacBook for him as a thank you present, paid for by my business. I was going to pay for 2 flights to Germany because he really wanted to go to Germany. Just thank him for everything. And then he just stopped responding to my texts.
Who knows, maybe he reaches out now if he sees the video.
I want those Germany tickets.
But in order to eventually reach the $1 million milestone, he had to build a real business. Ideally a scalable one, like an
And he's doing pretty good for, somebody like that. It's $3,000 in 58 days.
e-commerce company.
But this is so far away still from $1 million. It's crazy.
I am at the farmer's market here. I'm looking for people that are selling product I can maybe partner with and sell online.
And after making some connections with a manufacturer and looking at trends, he decided on a very specific niche, a coffee brand for dog lovers that donates a percentage of profits to saving dogs. But what got in the way was the fact that he had to document everything.
I was spending it 40 to 60 hours a week on production and marketing and running the production team alone while I was homeless in the beginning of the project. I remember being in meetings with the guys and I'd be like, I haven't eaten today. I don't have money to get back to the RV park. I got to get out of this meeting and you guys have to figure it out because if I don't flip a couch today, I have to sleep at the office.
We need to shoot quick overview. We need to shoot how to. Our animator overseas just quit.
You're spending 25 grand a month on production?
$25,000 burned per month on producing the project and marketing.
And just to prove that he was wrong. This is the real comedy show, bro.
Paying for it out of his own pockets.
I only spent 1 hour on my business. This has been a consistent theme. I'm not gonna be able to build $1 million business like that.
How much money have you made so far?
It's underwhelming.
You're making less than minimum wage. You feel like a failure.
I can't be working all these hours. I need to build my business.
Do you feel the pressure of having people look at you, of potentially failing in public? Does that keep you up at night?
I'm so tired.
I just got word the client decided to, I guess, fire us.
He had to get really strategic with his time and money. Either cut expenses to invest more into launching the
Cut expenses. The guy doesn't even have anything, bro. He cannot even cut expenses. You can only think about earning $1 million once you have at least somewhat of a structure, foundation of food, a roof under your head, and somewhat of stability, so that you can hopefully start taking your shot and studying about doing something, and then you got to do something for a long time until that shit works.
as business, or invest money to save more time, for example, by hiring freelancers.
And you're going to have to invest most of the times money, and if not money, a lot of time, which could also be transferred to money because it's opportunity costs. It's opportunity cost, you know, because you're trying something that you have no idea if it's going to work or not, that you could have been doing anything else. And this is the raw reality.
Working on the homepage, sir.
Jay, you logged 2.5 hours. You said you're gonna log a full day today, dude. We need to get this site up. Oh, God, I've never gotten that pissed.
It's starting to get to the point where I'm like, lying over my head, being able to hit this goal. I don't feel like...
So pretty much 3 months in, he saved up $6,000, which is more or less like what, minimum wage.
I'm far enough.
Now imagine living like that for freaking 10 years, 20 years. Do you think that's not going to take a toll on your mental health? Because y'all are not talking about psychological problems. What if you've been trying to do something for freaking 10 years and it's not working, and now that thing is wearing you down, that thing is backfiring on you because you put all your soul into something that is not working, and now you're fucking dead, drained, because it's not like 2 months or 3 months in anymore. It's freaking 10 years. There's also that. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's so much more complex than people talk about. Because in my opinion, I think it's just easier to just lie to ourselves than to accept the raw reality that we just do not have control about so many things in our lives, and the world is cruel. And there are, for a fact, some people who are luckier than others. There are people who are luckier than others. There are people who are lucky. There are people who worked really hard and then got lucky. But ultimately, everybody, bro, being alive means you're lucky. You know what? I know a person, and I'm not gonna expose this person. Like, I know somebody from a family. She had a sister. Her sister was 19 years old. She went through something. I don't know what the fuck she went through. She was sick, whatever the hell. So basically, the story is, she was all healthy. She was doing all good. And the next thing you know, she got this huge a bad disease in her life, which I don't know exactly what it was. And then 3 months after that, she went to hospital. And then a month after that, she died. And she wasn't even fucking 20 years old. So the reason why I'm saying that is because being alive is already means you're lucky. You got to be lucky for anything. If you're breathing, you're lucky. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, imagine if you were born with two legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes. You know, you don't. It doesn't have like autism. You don't have this. You don't have that. For example, you were born in an English speaking country, which is the universal language, or this or that. For example, there's so much privilege that just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. You know, how many people out there that you don't know that they lost their arm, they lost their leg in a car crash, in a car accident, and it's not over their control. So you got to be lucky for everything. Everything. That doesn't mean that you're not gonna like go on your life just saying, okay, now because Samuel told me that everything is luck based, I'm not gonna try to do anything because you got to be lucky anyways. I'm telling you that what you got to do is like do the shit that you got to do, knowing that you have to be lucky, but understand that this is how the game works. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just let life do the work for you. Like, do your part every single day. Show up to work, you know, strategize, study, put your money, invest. But ultimately, you have to know that some of the things might not be in your control, and it's okay because you're not a failure. If you actually tried your best every single day and it still didn't work out for you, that does not mean you're a failure. It just means that sometimes it is life doing its own part. You know, it's not everybody gets to be, you know, a soccer player. Not everybody gets to be a super rich billionaire guy, whatever. There's not enough space for everybody. It's like the law of supply and demand. There's just not space for everybody. There's so many things involved. You know, I started yapping about it because it just drives me crazy. This shit right here, that drives me fucking nuts, bro.
But out of desperation, Mike...
Because I was privileged. And I had to grow up to understand that I was fucking privileged. A lot of people in my country, they don't speak English, they don't speak anything. And I'm not telling you telling you that I'm rich, because I'm not. I'm far away from being rich. But I come from a middle-class family. But I know for a fact nowadays that I was lucky as fuck. Lucky as fuck, bro. And a lot of you guys are lucky too. And it's just hard for us somehow, or to whatever reason why, to accept it. That some of us are just luckier than others. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Fuck, bro. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm starting to go crazy, bro. I'm sorry, y'all.
Came up with a brilliant idea. They would not just cut his biggest expense, but might actually make him money.
I am finding a location. Let's say it's $4,000 a month to rent. I'm gonna rent out 4 of the bedrooms for $1,000 a month, so it pays for the place, and then that 5th bedroom I would get for free. That is what I call rent hacking. This is a 4-story place. This is gonna be my room, walk-in closet here. This would be my bathroom. I'd be going from RV park to this. 3 months. Made this like a podcast room or something. Wow, this place is big.
He makes it valuable by setting up this house specifically for like-minded business owners. And because his fake identity, Scott, doesn't have a good credit score, he just found someone to co-sign it.
What do you think is like a fair percentage of profit to do for you doing like the credit partner stuff? All right, I got the official lease. How cool is it that I went from living in an RV to this place? Rent-free, plus I would make money.
And also, the coffee brand was finally ready to launch.
Oh, we're in business. We got coffee, baby. We got our first coffee order ever. This time, 4 months ago, guys, I was thinking about sleeping on a bench. If you're like, I hate my job, I fucking can't stand my fucking job, quit. Save up some money, downsize, quit. Figure out what you want to do.
And with roughly 9 months left, maybe...
Figure out what you want to do. What the fuck you mean figure out what you're going to do? Dude, I don't even want to start it.
It was still possible to reach the $1 million milestone.
There's a lot of people that have built a company in 9 months, have gotten it to $1 million. I'm healthy, my family's healthy. That's all that matters. On Tuesday, I learned that my dad was officially diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer.
Yeah, they said it's in my lungs, my liver.
My dad is the single most important person to me in my life.
The typical survival rate for that is 14%. What I was told was like 12 to 18 months.
Believe it or not, yes, it could be better, but also be much worse. To me, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I'll fight, Michael. The fight begins. Don't get upset.
And here we see where Mike got his unwavering optimism. From his dad. He gets a terminal diagnosis and still considers himself to be the luckiest man in the world. After months of struggling, overcoming homelessness, working 100-hour weeks to run an entire production team, and trying to make $1 million at the same time, now this happened. This was real life now. Mike had a decision to make. Continue the project or quit.
Some things are going to change because I'm going to be moving home to spend time with my dad.
So then in here is where he quits the challenge and, you know, fails miserably because reality hit him with a punch in his face, proving the guy that life is not that simple as you may want it to be. And some people, they might accept it, some people may not accept it, but the reality is so much more cruel than what we want it to be. This world's fucked up for the most part.
Dad, we're gonna figure it out, you know? This is what happens in life.
It was like life was testing Mike, whether you could actually be a leader, live by the message of the...
You can work for freaking 20 years into something and it doesn't work out for you, bro. And that's the raw fucking reality. And I hate dropping the F-bomb, but sometimes I just gotta do what I gotta do because this is the raw reality of life. You know, and like, it's just not fair. You know, if you're lucky enough to be living and to be breathing and to have somewhat of a life, you are already lucky. And that's why you should not consider yourself a failure if you don't have $1 million or if you're not a billionaire, because there's just not enough space in the world for everybody to be a billionaire. You know, it's a freaking pyramid, bro. For very few to have $1 billion, a lot of people need to be on the basic of like holding the structure of the world. That's just basic capitalism. That's how the system works. It's not your fault. A lot of the times the shit that happens with you is not your fault. You know, it's a product of your fucking environment. You know, that does not make you like stop working towards your goals. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you is that what I'm trying to say is that not everything is under your control. And you're not a failure because something didn't work out for you. For whatever reason, you know, sometimes it is your fault. Sometimes you didn't work hard enough. Sometimes you slacked. Sometimes you didn't push it really hard. But a lot of the times also you tried your best and then it didn't work out for you. And that's how life is, because that's how the true reality of life is. And I don't know what y'all think, but this is my personal opinion, bro. Honestly. And I'm just saying what I think.
Project and overcome this adversity.
You get dealt cards, you have to play the hand that you're dealt.
His dad wanted him to continue because now this was actually about more than just making $1 million. It was about living by the values his dad taught him, making the best out of every situation, even in times of struggle. And it lit a fire inside of him.
And I wrote it down. I wanted 20,000 DMs, people reaching out saying, you impacted my life in a positive way. That's all I wanted.
So could he still reach the $1 million goal now that things got even more challenging?
And I want to make that very, very clear. Like, I don't think I was going to hit it.
But they had a pretty good plan. Coffee is one of these consumables that people buy again and again if they love your brand. So setting up a monthly subscription would be a game changer. And if they could acquire new customers to try out their products, they might become long-term repeat buyers.
Smile, dance. We put up our first TikTok and TikTok went semi-viral. Almost 3,200 followers.
Holy shit.
What?
I think we got our first coffee club subscription.
While I was driving, Etsy order, $34,221. Our ad account got disabled. This is what I do when I'm angry. So I made a list of things I'm grateful for. The first is Mark Zuckerberg. I'm grateful for big tech. So now I feel better.
What?
Things now started moving faster, but that also created
But Mark Zuckerberg just blocked his account. Or was he running the ads on TikTok?
more problems. Mike was still juggling way too many things, spending only 5 hours a week on the e-commerce company, trying to squeeze in family time, making content to document the $1 million comeback, and researching cancer to help his dad. But he had spent $250,000 on producing the project, and the channel still hadn't taken...
Like, I get it that what he does is good because you have to motivate people, because you cannot tell people that, okay, you're hopeless, you're fucked up, you know, most of you are gonna fail. You don't want to give that message to the audience because you need to give him motivation. But I think like the way you go about it has to change, because in like the fact that you were too extreme to show that anyone can make $1 million in 12 months starting from nothing is the very reason to why some people, they're living the way they are. And like you're just making it even worse, the reality that's already hard enough for these people.
His goal to impact 20,000 people seemed impossible, with only a few hundred views per video.
So that was like a layer of stress. Kept having to get the team pumped up. Like, guys, we'll get these views eventually.
Until his own health started declining as well.
Throughout the entire project, we haven't shared it with you, but I've been in and out of the doctor's office. I actually have 2 autoimmune diseases. Even started developing a tumor on my hip. It's gotten to the point where I'm in pain every single day.
Health, wealth, relationships, everything in my life is at the lowest point.
I want to talk about the project real quick. I don't know if I should keep doing it. I really should be helping out my dad with his business. My dad leaves the business is totally done.
Should he end the project now? He was still far from hitting the $1 million goal and having a big impact. But then he got a message from a stranger that changed everything.
There was a guy towards the end of the project. He reached out. I need to get on a call with you. Gets on the call and he literally just starts crying. And he's like, dude, I was going to kill myself. I came across your content. It just gave me hope. That was the best feeling I've ever felt in my entire life.
If he ended it now with only $65,000 made and one person he deeply impacted, would the project be a failure or a success?
I wanted to help people that...
It would still be a failure, but I understand that it's okay for you to motivate people. It's just that some of the claims that y'all make, you have to be a little bit more careful with the things you say, because not everybody, I will repeat myself always, not everybody can start from nothing and then become wealthy or become the next Elon Musk. There's too many things that are involved, in this process that it's just not going to be possible for everybody. That being said, it doesn't mean you shouldn't go after your dreams. You shouldn't go after what you're going through. It just means that you got to be careful with the things you hear on the internet and what people tell, because reality is usually a little bit more cruel than that.
We're struggling, get back on their feet, and prove that it could be done. A lot of things about this situation suck, but I'm in control of how I
But that being said, again, try your best with what you have.
see things.
Throughout all of this, no matter how hard life hit him, he made the best of everything and lived by the message he truly believed.
Yes, but he didn't make $1 million. So that was the video, guys. I think I yapped a lot on this one. Man, this one was crazy. Let me know what y'all think about it, because this is very, very complicated. This one, like at the time, this thing went viral. Everybody talked about it. Like there was so many opinions. Some people agreed with him. Some people did not agree with him. Well, crazy, guys. But yeah, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.